Hey guys, it's Molly from Cascade Telemark coming back with weeks 3 and 4 of our Telemark specific preseason training course. If you haven't seen weeks 1 and 2, make sure you check out our last video on our channel. That'll bring you through a little bit about what this course is about. Weeks 3 and 4 are really going to be strength focused. We're working on stability, engaging our core, and continuing to find that stability and sinking into those compound movement patterns. When we're telemark skiing, we want to be able to have the ability to transition fluidly with strength and control in our movement. And these next 2 weeks are really going to help us out with that. So let's get started. Reminder to save this video, come back, and we'll do all these exercises together. Pause between the exercises after I demo, give the sets and reps. Take as long as you need. Starting off strong here on the mat, we're gonna start with a core exercise just to get things warmed up, activate our core for the exercises to come. Our first exercise here today is some dead bugs. We're gonna be doing these for 3 sets of 10 with each side alternating. The first thing I wanna talk about is that anterior pelvic tilt. We talked a little bit about that last time. That's gonna make sure that our core is engaged for all the right reasons and we're not relying on our low back in this movement. That pelvic tilt I'm talking about here is I don't want any arch like this. If you can put your arm under your back, that's not great. You're just gonna be straightening your back. Almost think of you're rolling your pelvis, zipping up your pants. It's gonna help activate your lower abs and there's not gonna be any space under your back to allow for that discomfort. It's really gonna help engage those core abs. So our starting position here is a tabletop position with our arms straight up. We're going to alternate legs and arms. So if my right leg is going down straight, my left arm is coming out over my head. That's 1 on that side, switch, 1 on the other. Now, if this variation feels a little bit too challenging, you'll start to feel it in that core. You can remove the arms. You can do what we call a march, which is tapping down to the floor like this. Put your arms down flat, keep your head down. But if we feel like we need a little bit more challenge, I'm gonna show you how we can add a resistance band to make this a little bit more fun. All right, so I've got a resistance band just hooked up against a column, or you can have a friend hold it for you. Same thing, I wanna start with that pelvic tilt position. I'm holding my legs up at that 90 degree, and now I'm adding resistance by pushing this down. This will help engage my core. And then I can straighten out those legs like before. If you don't have a resistance band, you can find like a plyo ball or a Swiss ball and hold that between. Anything to engage your lats and your core a little bit more, that will make this a little bit more challenging. So go ahead and pause that video and finish up this exercise. Again, 3 sets of 10, and we'll jump to exercise 2.
Hi, just can you go see Brian?
For exercise 2, we're doing weighted rotational lunges. Just like in weeks 1 and 2, when we did a reverse lunge, we're just adding that rotation, now holding a weight. 3 sets of 12. We're gonna be doing both sides. Pick a weight that's comfortable for you. I don't want anything too heavy that's gonna screw up your balance. The whole point of this exercise is to continue building leg strength and also working that rotational core and being stable in that position. So, just a reminder, we're setting up, our feet are parallel, we're holding this weight at our chest, we're shooting 1 leg back, we're rotating over that front leg here, and this is where we want to find that stability. Pretend we're skiing and we have our shoulders pointed downhill. This is really going to help us if we can find control in this position here. So we twist once and back up. 3 sets of 12, each leg. So after 12 reps, we'll switch which leg goes in the back. Now I'm rotating the other way. So pause here, finish this exercise, we'll move on to exercise 3. Back with exercise 3, for our first day, we're doing single leg Romanian deadlifts or single leg deadlifts. So pick a weight that's, again, comfortable for you. If you don't have a weight, use a bag of rice, water bottle, milk jug, whatever, or do this unweighted. The really important functional thing here is to work on our hip hinge. So if I'm just doing this with 2 legs here, what I mean by a hip hinge is I'm thinking about if I'm almost pushing a drawer shut with my butt. So I'm keeping my spine neutral and I'm breaking at the hips here. I have a nice soft knee bend, but most of that flexion is coming from my hip. So when we translate this into a single leg deadlift to work on that unilateral strength and stability, let's have my right leg be working. My left leg is going to come up and I'm going to hinge at the hip again, slowly down, working on balance, and then pushing through my glute to stand up, almost if I'm feeling like I'm driving my hips forward. I'm gonna do it on this side so you can see that working hip again. We're hinging at the hip, balancing, and I'm squeezing through my glutes and hamstrings to push myself straight, almost if I'm using my hips to push myself forward. If we want to modify this a little bit, we can drop the weight. We can have a stability stick to have a little something to hold on to, or even a nearby wall can help us out. That'll take away that stability challenge so we can really focus on that form. We might find that we do it a little bit faster, but as much as we can do to slow down the movement and control it, the more bang for buck we're going to get strength-wise, stability-wise, and control. If you want to do this at the gym or have access to a gym, a great way to do this, to take away that stability aspect, like when you're holding against the wall, is to use a Smith machine. So using this Smith machine will allow your body to really focus on just the strength portion of this. When you're moving inside the frame of it, it's going to be supporting you and you're not going to be worried about losing your balance. So I really want you to focus on that slow eccentric down when you're hinging down. Really increase that tempo to like about a count of 6 or 8. And then coming back up, well, you'll really feel that stretch in your glute and your hamstrings, and that's really going to be a lot more strength focused. So pause this, go ahead and do 3 sets of 12 each side, and we'll head to exercise 4. Day 1, exercise 4, we are doing some weighted step ups. So here I just have a set of stairs. Ideally, the step might be a little bit higher, but if this is what we got, this is what we're rocking with. So we can always make this more challenging by increasing the level of the step. I want 3 sets of 10 each leg. Weighted, I'm going to hold in one side, and then I'm going to, for support and stability, hold on to my banister here. When we're setting this up, I want the alternate foot as the weight in the hand. So I'm going to be demonstrating with my right foot here today. I'm going to have that foot really solidly on the step here, and nothing is happening from this back foot. All of the power is going to be coming from this front foot. So I'm going to shift my weight forward so that everything is on that right foot. And almost if I didn't even need that back foot there, I'm pushing through that right heel. I'm slowly lowering back down, tap, but no force from that left foot to push me up. All of that force is coming from my right leg. I'm driving through my right heel to make this happen. Push through that right side to help me get back up. Don't worry too much about the placement of your knees here going over your toes. That's okay. Really think about driving through the heel to finish out this movement. If we need to make this easier, drop the weight, hold on both sides, do whatever you need to do. Decrease the level of the step will make this a little bit easier. If we need more of a challenge, do this on a higher step. That'll increase the flexion in that hip joint, making this a little bit more challenging. We can also get rid of our stability here by not holding on, but I like this aspect as then we get to focus more on strength. Great job with day 1. Make sure you save this video. We'll put time marks down below for our transition here into day 2. So make sure you come back and join us for our next workout day. Welcome to day 2, our first exercise here. We're going to be starting out in a plank with a dumbbell pull across. We're going to be doing 3 sets of 30 seconds. So grab your timer and let's hit the mat. I'm going to be grabbing just a little dumbbell for myself. If you have a med ball that's weighted, you can use that to roll across here, but I'm going to demonstrate this with a dumbbell. So I'm going to put that just on the outside of my mat, and I'm going to be getting it into a high plank position. What this is going to look like is my shoulders are stacked over my hands, and I'm going to lift up one hand and pull the weight onto the other side. What we're trying to avoid here is a lot of twisting and rotational movements when we're moving that one hand. If this is feeling really challenging, either drop the weight and just do some shoulder taps. Or if you want to keep the weight, we can go onto our knees. Great job with that one. That one's a challenging one. Working on that anti-rotational core. So we're all done with this one after 3 sets of 30 seconds, and we're off to our next exercise. All right, now we're on our second exercise of day 2. We're doing some goblet squats. So for this exercise, I want to do 3 sets of 10. Pick a weight that feels comfortable for you. We're going to hold that up close to our chest. My feet are hip width distance apart, and I'm going to keep this close to my chest, keep my spine neutral, and I'm going to lower down into a squat and up. Now I really want us to think about lowering down with control and tempo. If we need to make this harder, I recommend increasing this weight. If we need to drop the weight and just do body weight squats, that's a great option as well. Anything to really help these prime movers push away against the floor. If we want to make this exercise a little bit harder, we can always increase that weight, or we can add a calf raise in the end if it's feeling like an able challenge for us to do. So that'll just look like just doing a squat and going up on our toes. Off to exercise 3. All right, back with day 2, exercise 3. We're doing side lunges with a weight. We're going to do 3 sets of 12 on each side. Starting with our feet together at the side of our mat, I'm going to hold this weight here at our chest, just like we're doing our goblet squats just before. When we're stepping out into our side lunge, I want to make sure that this weight doesn't fall. Keep this weight close to you, keep your core and spine neutral. We're pushing down into that side lunge, and then I'm driving through the heel and foot of that bent leg to stand back up. This is going to help us train in a different plane of motion, reduce risk of injury, and also give our adductors a nice stretch here. Once we do three sets or 12 reps on one leg, I want you to switch the other leg. We'll do 3 sets of 12, and we'll get on to exercise 4. So go ahead and pause, do that now, and then we'll transition to that. All right, day 2, exercise 4, I want to do a couple agility ladder drills. So most of us don't have a ladder at home, which is completely fine. I'm just going to be demonstrating on my mat today, and I'm going to theoretically kind of draw some lines in my head. I have some nice stripes in my mat here, so I'll use that as a reference. Really, time duration wise, I want to do about 3 sets of a minute. We're just going to be doing drills to help keep our feet agile, quick movements, increasing speed, increasing quickness, all these little things that when we're needing to transition quickly on the hill, that'll translate well. So some of the things I like to start out with is I'm just going to pick a line in the middle of my mat here, and I want to just go over it, and then going back and forth. 2 feet over, 2 feet over. To make these harder, we have to increase the speed. Going back, I can do the same thing. Next one I'm going to do, we're going to go forwards and back to the side. So again, I'm just taking this middle line, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards. Doing this in kind of a zigzag like I would if I had a tiled floor. My foot is going to enter every single tile. Then let's go back facing the same direction, so now we're working that other side. For the next one, I want to do a little bit of a lateral jump. So we're going to jump on one foot. I'm going to jump over my mat and balance. Another one I want to do is 2 hops together. So we'll be jumping from side to side here. Just the last one here to finish up this little circuit, I want to do a little bit of karaoke. So that's we're stepping out, we're crossing, and we're coming back. Crossing to the back and coming out again. We're just working on foot placement, foot control, speed and quickness. So again, take all of these as examples of what we can do. If you have a tile or a ladder at home, great, use it. If we have a mat, pick a line, jump over it. Anything to get your heart rate up and your feet moving quickly. 3 sets for about 60 seconds each time. Great job with day 2. That's all wrapped up now. We're going to be transitioning into day 3, which is going to be a lot more enhanced lower body strength. We're going to be focusing on tempo, control, being slow and thoughtful with our movements. Hey guys, welcome back for day 3, exercise 1. We're going to be doing weighted Bulgarian split squats. We did these back in weeks 1 and 2, but now we're adding a little bit of weight, or maybe we're increasing the height of our back foot to have a little bit less weight on it. All right, so now that I've got all of my supplies set up, I'm gonna be using a chair. If you have a step or box or something that you can put your foot up on, whatever you got works. Just like in weeks 1 and 2, I'm setting this up so that my back foot is elevated so that when I go down, see I'm a little bit too close here, I felt it on the back of my ankle and I want a little bit more flexion. So I'm gonna scoot this chair back. Here I could step forward. I want it so I'm getting a nice good stretch in the back of the glutes here, and I'm not really using this back leg to push me up. So I'm gonna grab our weights here and we're gonna get started. Pushing that 1 foot back, keeping my spine neutral and my chin tucked. I'm gonna lower down and I'm gonna feel that stretch in the back of that right glute, and I'm gonna push through my heel to stand up. That's 1. At that 8 or 10 mark, you should be struggling to get back up. If not, increase that weight or increase the amount of reps to 10 reps, because we want to be getting close to training till failure with this one, as it's really, really good for building our posterior chain strength, which when we need to push ourselves into that next turn. I need to take a second to breathe. Those are hard, but those are good. So for this one, if we need to make it a little bit easier, we can modify it to be without the weights. Really think about that tempo again when you're going down. The slower you go down into that movement where those muscles are stretching, the more bang for your buck you're gonna get out strength-wise. So try playing with that tempo. If weight feels like a little bit too much, but we still need a little bit more challenge from weeks 1 to 2. We're progressively overloading this by adding weight here, which is a great way to keep building strength in our posterior chain. So make sure we're doing 3 sets of about 8 to 10 on each side, and then we'll transition into our next exercise. Welcome back for exercise 2 of day 3. We're doing single leg box squats. I've got a chair here. We're gonna be doing 3 sets of 8 to 10 on each leg. The way I wanna set this up is just as if we're sitting down and standing back up in a sit to stand, we're gonna be doing that with 1 leg. So I'm gonna transition all of my weight here onto 1 leg and have my other leg floating in front of me. I'm going to slowly lower down to that chair, tap it, push through my heel to stand back up. Now you'll notice as you get more and more into this exercise, you might get a little bit tired. The thing I want you to avoid is when we're sitting down, I don't want you to plop back and lose all of the tension you have on your glute here. If we need to sit down, great, do it. If you don't need to sit down, tap the chair. Find a modification that works for you. Make these a little bit more challenging. Again, being mindful of your tempo when you're lowering down into the chair is where that strength is gonna come from. So make sure we're using a modification that's gonna help us in the long run. Again, let's do 3 sets of 8 to 10 on each side. All right, we're on for day 3, exercise 3. We're doing some weighted calf raises off of a step. We did this in week 1 with no weight. We're adding weight now to progressively overload this. I want 3 sets of 15. And when we're racking that weight up, we can either do it, I can have 2 weights or have 1 weight on my side. It's just to add a little bit of body weight. In this example, I'm gonna be holding on to my handrail here just to take out the stability issue of it so I can really focus on the strength through those heels. So set up for this, I'm stepping up onto this step, I'm racking my weight, I am keeping my torso long, centered, and controlled. I'm lowering all the way down to the range that is comfortable for me, my ankles, and I'm pushing through the balls of my heel to raise up. And again, I want you to focus on really slowing down that tempo when we're lowering down. That stretch of that muscle is gonna allow our body to increase the load on the Achilles tendon and help with strength in that gastroc and soleus. Good job with that one. If we need to end up dropping that weight halfway through, do it. Find the modification that works for you or increase your weight. Remember, we can always make this a little bit more challenging by changing the range of motion of this exercise. If we're doing it flat on the floor, try it on a step. Back with day 3, exercise 4, we are doing some controlled jump lunges. So I know we've already destroyed our glutes and hammies with those weighted Bulgarian split squats, but this is a great way to finish them off. I want you to do 3 sets of 10 each leg. So if we're doing alternating legs, we're doing 20 total for 3 sets. So we're going to start in this a parallel position with our feet, and we're going to jump out into a lunge, controlling that impact and really finding stability in this lunge here. It's super important for our telemark skiing to be comfortable in this position in all types of forms, no matter how quickly we get there. So practicing this on the ground before we put our skis on is really gonna help us. So once we've done our first jump, this is our new starting position, and we're gonna alternate to the other side. Feel free to take as long as we need in between the jumps. This doesn't have to be a time challenge, but increasing the tempo is a way to progress this exercise. Great job finishing up those. Once we're done with our three sets, we are done for the day. That was a really hard workout, so rest up, and we've got our optional day 4 coming up next. All right, welcome back for day 4, our optional day of exercises. Our first exercise is a Palloff press. So if we have a resistance band, great, grab it at home. If not, we could do a rotational chop with a weight. But for this one, I wanna demonstrate with a resistance band. I'm going to find a column somewhere in our house. This could be behind a heavy piece of furniture, whatever you have, or you can take a little knot in your resistance band, close it in the hinge of your door, and that'll give us a great way to provide some resistance. So I'm gonna thread this over here. We're doing 3 sets of 12 each side, so we're gonna be turning around halfway through this exercise. With this resistance band, I'm going to add a little bit of resistance and clamp on here. So this is trying to pull me this way, and I'm not going to let it. Right now, my torso is facing towards the resistance. I'm going to engage my core and hold it so that it's not letting me rotate. I'm then going to press out and in, that's 1. This is a really good anti-rotational core exercise to help our core be able to stabilize ourselves when we're in lots of different positions. So this is a great exercise just to get our core fired up and aware. So we'll do 3 sets of 12. After we get 12, we'll turn around and do it the other way. A way we can make this exercise harder is if we have a thicker resistance band, it's going to have more rotational energy pulling us in that we'll have to resist. Again, use what you have. If we don't have anything like a resistance band, we can use a jug of milk, a weight, and just draw some big X's in the sky. Those will also help us through holding our core stable when we're throwing it off balance a little bit. Again, 3 sets of 12 each side. After that, let's move on to exercise 2. All right, for our next exercise in our optional day 4, exercise 2, we're doing some jump squats just to get our heart rate up and keep everything strong and explosive and powerful. So we're doing 3 sets of 10 of jump squats here, starting out with our feet in a parallel position, about hip width apart. We're going to be squatting down, jumping up. I want you to really control that land. Try not to flop or crash, because all of this control is going to help build and prepare our body for skiing. So again, it's gonna look like this, starting with our feet in a parallel position, about hip width apart. We're squatting down and absorbing the impact from that last jump up into our next one. If we don't feel like doing the jump today, we can modify it with a low impact version of just coming up into a calf raise, squatting down, driving up into a calf raise. Just as effective, just as great for our body. Increasing that strength and increasing that tempo will make this more challenging. Back with exercise 3 for day 4. We are doing some walking lunges with our torso rotation again. Very similar to day 1, but we're not doing this weighted. We're doing this moving. So 3 sets of 10 on each leg. So about 10 each leg, or if you're doing this in a hallway and not stopping, whatever distance you can get is great. We just want to be getting a nice burn in those legs. We'll do 3 sets total. So I'm going to be starting kind of at the edge of my mat. I'm stepping forward into the lunge this time, so different than our reverse lunge before we did in day 1. I'm stepping forward and going down, rotating over and back up. I really still want to be thinking about being controlled in my lunge movement and not just flopping my feet down. So I don't want it to look like this. Just let my knee hit the ground really, really hard. I wasn't controlling that movement. All of that strength and power that we're building comes from our tempo. So slow down, rotating, and back up. So if we need to make this harder, we can hold on to a weight or increase the distance that we're walking. Again, I want to hit for a ballpark of about 10 each leg, but of course this is going to depend on how much space you have, where you're training. Do what you can, 3 sets, feel the burn, control that tempo. Off to exercise 4. 3 sets of 10 burpees. Welcome back for our last exercise of day 4. We are finishing off strong with a little bit of cardiovascular endurance, doing some burpees, 3 sets of 10. I know, this is the last one, and then we can go and rest for the day. So for our traditional burpee, we're gonna be adding a jump. If you need to progress this, we can be doing a push-up, or we can modify this, doing a low impact version. I will show all 3. Let's start with the traditional burpee. Got my mat here. I am standing parallel with my feet hip distance apart. I'm going to start by squatting down, jumping back into a plank position. For our traditional burpee, I'm then just going to squat forward, stand up. If I want to add a jump at the top here, I can. That's 1. If we want to progress this, we can add a push-up down at the bottom. Excellent. If the push-up feels like too much at this time, leave it out. The whole point of this exercise is just to get our heart rate up, make sure that our body is functioning as a unit and working well together. If that jump and shooting our legs back feels a little bit too much, let's try a low impact version where we're not jumping. Great job. That is our last exercise of our optional day 4. Rest up. You guys worked hard today. Please do save this video, come back, do this exercise routine for the whole week again in weeks 4. That was all of the exercises for week 3 and week 4 combined, and be on the lookout for our new video coming out in 2 weeks' time for weeks 5 and 6. Thanks for joining me. We're doing this together. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of these exercises that we prepared for you. Just getting our heart rate up, getting our muscles prepared, getting us ready to go out, telemark ski for the first time, for the millionth time, whatever your story is. I'm glad that you're here and on this journey with us. We'll see you later.